Shabbat Shalom, warm welcome to Shabbat service tonight on our Friday night. You can probably already discern that this feels very different for us to have Gaby alongside Dean, to hear the melodies, to have a true taste of what Shabbat Resouled has meant to us. Most definitely over the past 14 years, because tonight is Shabbat Resouled's birthday, 14 years old tonight, but in particular over this past year, that every opportunity we've had for Dean to sing, to make music, for Gaby and any of the other members of the band to come along has really nurtured us through this year. So I really want to light candles, but I wanted to invite you two to light candles, which I should have moved the candles in honour. So I'm just going to ask Michael or David, if you could just move the candles over to Dean to be able to light candles for this moment. So today is a strange day, and we will mark the death of Prince Philip later in the service. But tonight, as we go into Kabbalat Shabbat, we really celebrate Resouled, the jewel in the crown of the music in our synagogue that so many people love and have flocked to over the past 14 years. And we have some messages and some special guests tonight to just speak of what Resouled was when it was first created and how it has sustained itself and sustained many of us. Dean, can you light over your guitar?
I'm going to try not to set fire to my guitar.
Yes.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen. Shabbat Shalom. And just before we go to the Chadodi, just for me, on behalf of all of us as a congregation, to offer the Shehechianu, to have reached this moment with as much joy and pride as we have. So rather than asking Dean to sing, I feel we should say it for him and the whole of Resouled, and tonight especially Gaby and Dean. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh, where we offer thanks and gratitude for having been kept alive, upright, and allowed to arrive at this moment. So tonight, just before we go to L'Chadodi, I would like to call upon Rabbi Elliot Karstadt. Elliot was a founder member of Resouled along with Dean, and now rabbi of another congregation down the road. But we are delighted that he's with us tonight to share a memory of Resouled.
Thank you. I wasn't actually a founder member. I got involved 2 years into Shabbat Resouled. So not quite there at the very founding, but it feels very appropriate to be asked to speak right after the lighting of the candles, because I was just flicking through our Siddur and saw a reading for this week in which Rabbi John Rayner says, above all, human beings can become radiant with holiness, the theme being holiness this week. And like the candles kind of throwing a kind of light over the room, I feel like Shabbat Resouled often throws that light over us, whether it's those who are singing, playing, whether it's those in the community. And Shabbat Resouled has always had its birthday around this time of year, obviously. And it feels very fitting because it's part of the Omer, this period between Pesach and Shavuot, where the Israelites are kind of wandering a little bit. And this seems very appropriate for me, because for me, it was a very transformational moment for me when I was invited to join the Shabbat Resouled musicians. And it offered me a kind of nourishment for the soul and a nourishment, but also really being part of that community, but both within the musicians and the band, but also the way I feel it nourishes us as a community. And it really is a microcosm of our community. So many people have been through the band, through the services, have found their way into something more through the experience of Shabbat Resouled in so many different ways. And that is really testament to both the vision that Rabbi Neil had at the very beginning, and of Dean, and of Dean and Rebecca moving it forward, and of the whole band really, seeing it not just as a opportunity to play music and to enjoy the power of music, but to build community. And I find that's really amazing, and that's a real tribute to all those who are involved. So thank you for asking me to speak this evening.
Thank you so much, Elliot. It's truly a treat to have you with us for a Shabbat service, never mind for this anniversary service of Resouled. So everyone, let's go to L'Chadodi. We're on page 9. If we were in the building, we'd stand for the last verse and welcome each other and welcome Shabbat. So I trust you're doing that in your own homes.
Shabbat
on page 10 as we turn to the first blessing before the Shema. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim b'chokhmah poter sha'arim ובתבונה משנה עתים, ומחליף את הזמנים ומסדר את הכוכבים במשמרותיהם ברקיע כרצונו, בורא יום ולילה, גוללו מפני חושך וחושך מפני אור, ומעביר יום ומביא לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו, ברוך אתה אדוני, המעריב ערבים. Hear, O Israel, the Eternal One is our God. The Eternal God is one.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kavod Malkuto Le'olam
next year.
למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם אלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
We're at the foot of page 13. Having offered the Shema, our watchword of faith, we agree it's something true and reliable that we can depend on. All this we hold to be true and sure. You alone, Eternal One, are our God, and we are Israel, your people. You have freed us from oppressors, delivered us from tyrants. You led us out of Egypt forever to serve you in freedom. When we witnessed your power, we praised your name and gave thanks. Willingly we accepted your rule, and then, full of joy, we sang together. ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום ועמידנו מלכנו נתאים השכיבנו
When I first joined Finchley Progressive Synagogue 10 years ago, and Shabbat Resouled was 4 years old, a baby, but a very confident, inspiring baby at that. The piece that struck me the most, other than Dean's Yihiyu L'Ratzon, which has remained my favourite prayer ever put to music, was the idea that people stood when they were ready, when their own kavanah, when their own direction of their heart said, I am ready to begin this prayer, the standing prayer with my congregation. In all my years of being Jewish and indeed being a rabbi, I had never seen that. And so for me tonight, even though we're not all together, but when we do come back, I'm sure that we will reignite that custom, that minhag, to stand when we're ready. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel ve'Elohei Leah, Zocher chasdei avot ve'imohot, u'mevi gula livnei v'nehem, lama'an shemo b'yahava, Melech Hozeh Moshiach Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי מתים אתה רב להושיע. משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מזריח השמש ומוריד הטל. ונאמן אתה להחיות מתים, ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי המתים. קדוש אתה ונורא שמך, ואין לנו אלוה מבלעדיך, ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש. Page 17.
V'chadash v'shamru Israel et HaShabbat
You can't fail to feel Shabbat with that. Baruch atah Adonai Makadesh HaShabbat. We praise you, our God. You make Shabbat holy. Rotzei Adonai Eloheinu b'yamcha Yisrael u'tefilatam b'ahavat tekabel u'tehilu ratzon tamid avodat Yisrael amecha. Baruch atah Adonai she'otecha levadecha b'yirah na'avod. So as we offer Modim together tonight in our Resouled Siddur in English together, please feel free to add anything that you feel grateful or appreciative for in the chat so that all of us together can feel that sense of gratitude. We thank and praise you for being our God and God of our ancestors. We can always rely on you and feel safe. We thank and praise you for caring for our lives, for connecting our souls with you, for the miracles of life, wonders large and small, that remind us you're here every moment of every day. We praise you, our God, and joyfully thank you for all life's goodness.
Shalom Rab Ad Yisrael Shabbat השלום. כל השלום. שלום רב.
Baruch atah Adonai, Oseh HaShalom. So a moment for us for silent prayer and reflection, and just to help us think about the power and the comfort of both how this community has been, but particularly prayer and the services, especially when Dean and Gaby and Resouled bring to us the novelty, the newness of the music, and yet the ancient prayers. So I'm going to turn to Beverly now to offer a reflection on being part of Resouled at the beginning.
Hi, everybody. I was one of the founder members, and there's a great big echo. And it really became something that was a way of life as Resouled evolved, and there was something very organic about it, and very organic about the way new tunes came in, the wonderful new tunes that Dean wrote. And also I was inspired to write stuff too, and also particularly the way we developed our harmonies. I mean, the harmonies just sort of evolved organically, and they until they just kind of became part of your DNA, really. And there've been a lot over the years, a lot of comings and goings of band personnel, and lots of comings and goings and coming back again. And I will be coming back, by the way. But also there's something that struck me when Rebecca asked me to reflect on Resouled, is that it is truly intergenerational and intragenerational, that we had at one point, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Dean, at least 3 generations of people, and where I think our youngest member was about 7 and the oldest around 70 perhaps. And it just provided something that didn't happen anywhere else, really, in the synagogue, I think, you know, in that way. So the other founder members, of course, we have a message. I managed to contact Leah Katz today, and she sends all her best wishes. And of course, we also had Joe and Hannah Kingston, so that another rabbi came from Resouled. So that's kind of interesting in itself. And it's just been something, we are truly Resouled. And in 2010, of course, we actually recorded our album. Not everybody will know that, but there's our album. That was a very, very special time. I think it became our life at that time, as Resouled did. And, you know, we faithfully turned up to our rehearsals on Mondays, and still do, those of us who do it, and will again. And that's, yeah, it's something truly special, truly unique. And that's it.
Thank you so much. Personal memories, and it was so great to hear from Leah Katz in New York, and we've reached out to the Kingstons, but we haven't heard back from them, and to Sid and Hanit who played, but it doesn't have to be just this month that we hear from. I'm going to share Rabbi Neil James's words at the end of the service. Neil and Dean created Resouled together. So let's take a moment to think about what sustains us in our lives. So before we go to Aleinu, which of course is our prayer for building a better world, a world that is as it could be rather than as is, I just want to share the words from Rabbi Neil James, who sent a message tonight. Pirkei Avot, he writes, says at 5 years Bible study, 10 years the Mishnah, 13 for the mitzvot, and 15 for the Talmud. We can now include at 14 leading services in a pandemic. I was inspired by the community of musicians and prayers when Shabbat Resouled began. And over this last year, tuning in on social media, the voice of song and prayers of Shabbat Resouled has lifted my spirits yet again. Thank you to Dean, the musicians, Rabbi Rebecca, for this comfort in a year of tumult. So we think how prayer has given us so much and sustained us. Let's offer Aleinu.
Aleinu leshabeach Adonai Gavor, v'ateinu la'yotzer eshki, asher samteinu v'yaken et shamo, v'mor aleinu le'amid malchuto, v'mor aleinu le'amid malchuto.
So friends, as we turn to Kaddish tonight, I want to take a moment, as I think all of our liberal communities are doing so. You probably saw the statement that we issued during the day today. It feels only right that I share tonight Rabbi Mark Solomon's prayer. Sovereign of the universe, who gives salvation unto rulers and dominion unto princes, together with Britain and the Commonwealth, we mourn the passing of Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh, in his 100th year of life. We give thanks for his long life, for the 73 years of his marriage to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth, and for the constancy and strength with which he supported her through the long years of her reign. She described him as her strength and her stay. We honour his courageous service as a decorated naval officer in the Second World War, his inspiring leadership of the Duke of Edinburgh's award programme, and his dedication to the conservation of nature and the environment, among all his other acts of devoted public service. We think of his children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren, and pray they will find comfort in their loss and inspiration in the example he gave of dignified service. Above all, we think of our dear Queen in this time of her loss, and pray that she will find comfort through these dark hours and days in the recollection of their dedicated marriage and shared ideals of royal duty. May the Duke of Edinburgh rest in peace, and may his memory be for a blessing. Amen. As we turn to the yahrzeits that fall in our congregation this Shabbat, we think particularly of the end of the Shloshim of John Denham, Yochanan ben Avraham Avinu, remembered by his wife Anne, daughters Alison and Juliet, and grandchildren Joe and Daniel. We think also of the yahrzeit of Wilma Hyman, mother of Gabriel, grandmother of Tom, Elana, Ben, and Jessica. Zichrona Livracha, may her memory be for a blessing. And also this Shabbat, the yahrzeit of Derek Princely, father of Emma Princely, father-in-law of Richard, and grandfather of Sarah, James, Melanie, and Ned. Zichrono Livracha, may his memory be for a blessing. May those who recall and remember their loved ones be comforted in their loss as we say the words of the Kaddish with them. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shamei rabbah, b'yama divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon, u'v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, Margala v'zman kari v'imru amen. Yehi shmei rabbah mavorach le'olam almel maya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'a v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithada v'yitale v'yitalal shemei d'kudusha brichu. Yehi leila min kol berchata v'sherata tushbachata v'nechemata da'amiram v'yalma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shamaya. V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol b'nei Adam v'imru. Amen. So as we go to a special kiddush tonight with I've wanted to find a jewel-encrusted challah to celebrate Resouled, so you've got sugar crystals instead, and a birthday cake for this band, which is unlike any other band in terms of how much spiritual nourishment it gives us. A birthday cake for Dean and Gaby to cut, blow out the match rather than candle is going to be in the middle of it. So just a reminder to everyone that tomorrow we're taking advantage of the last few weeks where we can join other congregations. Tomorrow we'll be joining LLS, which is Essex and East London Liberal Synagogue, my alma mater. And tomorrow is a very special service that we as a community have been thinking about creating, a Shabbat Shalanu, an inclusive service for all, and that is at 11 o'clock tomorrow. So don't try and log in here. You have the Zoom link in our email, and if you can't find it, find me or Josie. Sorry, Josie, if I'm throwing you in it. You can also contact me, and we'll all be joining tomorrow. Sunday morning, Cafe Ivriya, Leslie Urbach talks about free speech. Many other things happening next week, but let's just go straight to Kiddush now. And, let's have Yevarechecha. Let's bless ourselves before we go into Kiddush and bless the challah.
Yes,
Shabbat Shalom. Kiddush. And then, Michael, you could maybe pop the birthday cake with a match inside of it.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho, v'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu. Zikaron l'maaseh v'reishit, ki hu yom tehila lemikrae kodesh, zecher letziat Mitzrayim. Kivanu v'chata, ve'otanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodsheka, be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh ha-shabbat. Amen.
L'chaim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
Oh, that does look nice.
That's going to blow out.
I think it's going to blow itself. Is it okay to blow things out in this?
Yes, it's your cake anyway. You're taking it, so whatever.
Okay.
Happy birthday to Resouled, and I'm sure I'm saying it on behalf of all of you. In fact, you could unmute yourself and shout happy birthday.
Happy birthday,
Happy
Resouled. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. And thank you so much for a marvellous service.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday
Happy
to
birthday to you.
Yom
Pass the
Haledet
audition.
Sameach.
2007.
Yom Haledet Sameach. Yom Haledet Sameach. Yom Haledet Sameach. Yom Haledet Sameach.
And Elliot adds, add Mea Isreem until 120. May Resouled. Dina Gaby are not looking so enthusiastic about Resouled for
Just at 120.
yes, 106 more years. So
We'll do our best.
Let's all say goodbye to our social media platforms who've joined us. There's been a lot of them tonight wanting to wish Shabbat Resouled a beautiful birthday. Bye bye, everybody.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye. Shabbat shalom.